I'm Kathy, and I'm here and sitting in the kitchen right now, and I'm noticing that there's dishes left on top of the counter. Investigators have been looking at it,
To be frank, I think that I need to bring more of that into my life.
Yeah. And just make it super awkward. And,
breaking news.
Yeah.
I had to bring all of the groceries in from the car into the kitchen. You were still playing video games when I came into the house.
Oh, no, but you have to be and my husband was here. He was just watching me do it, and he's just sitting on his ass watching TV. Investigators are in. Some
people just know how to do life right.
Right. Yeah.
To be frank, I think that's the situation that we have here.
100%.
Oh, my goodness. I need to bring more of that into my life.
Yes.
More into 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Breaking news. I don't give a rat's ass.
Mm-hmm. My God, do that in the middle of a meeting.
Pardon me, y'all.
Excuse me, Brad. We need to stop here.
Hey, Kyle. Breaking news. Yeah. Stop being an asshole.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Well, I think it's race week.
It is race week.
Should we?
Yeah.
All right. It's race week, y'all. Welcome to Lap It Like It's Hot. We're here to talk about first race.
Long-awaited time. What, 6 months?
6 months. A lot can happen in 6 months.
Can.
It's still snowing.
Yeah, in Chicago. Lot huge different weather right now than compared to St. Petersburg, where this first race is going to be.
We haven't seen sunshine, a UV index higher than 2 in months.
It's going to be negative this week. Oh,
Mm-hmm. I'm so pale.
Yeah, me too.
Even if we went to the race, I would be so embarrassed to show myself.
Same.
I feel like I would be like Edward in Twilight, coming out.
Right.
Pale.
Yes.
Glistening in the sun while everyone is super tan.
I know.
And happy.
But, do you want to really live in Florida?
No.
Yeah, I agree.
There's something about Chicago in the summer, though.
I know. Well, it's a long wait. And we're, almost in March. So it's, we're waiting, June is really when we get that good weather? No,
yeah.
It's like the end of May, right?
Depends on global warming, what she's deciding to do.
It's true.
But we're less than 100 days. We're 99 days away from the Indy 500, which for me marks summer. Yeah. Memorial Day is like summer.
That is the start of summer. Yes.
Memorial Day to Labor Day, peak Chicago time. Spend not a lot of time in Chicago during that peak, because I'm going to Wisconsin and other places. But that's okay.
That's okay. We have the option of going into the city. That's nice.
Yeah.
You know what we should do is the architecture tour.
We should.
Mm-hmm. I've never done it. Have you?
I've done the really long one once.
Architecture?
Yeah, it's like an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
I had guests in, and they were like, they've never been to Chicago and they've never seen such a big city. So I was like, okay.
Wonderful. Yeah.
You know what would be really fun? If all the drivers came to Chicago and Dave Malukas took them all on the architecture tour.
That would be some great content.
Hey, little Dave.
Make it happen, dude.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
We can come on board. We can be the hype crew. We can ask questions, being like, did you know that when we dye the river green, this is how we do it? Do you know that they actually have hot tubs that you can now rent to float down the river?
I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, like maybe the first one of the year, sure. But by the time you get to the end of the year, I don't know if that's how good it would be.
Yeah.
I wonder how much they changed that water. Is it the river water?
Could you imagine, like, hi, we are reusing the river water.
Giving you the authentic experience.
Please sign this waiver in case you grow a third arm or an extra toe. There is no liability for what possibly is in this water while you're hot tubbing away. I do remember, I think it was last year, one of the announcers for the St. Pete race, they had like one of those floating bar circular things out in the ocean during the race. And I'm like, oh, that's fun.
That's a song. Well, it's ocean and it's different.
I haven't been in an ocean in a while.
I know, same. I think the last time I was Dominican Republic, like pre-COVID. I know.
All right, well, that's enough about
our
how
lives.
the weather sucks.
Like a winter in Chicago, but
Let's talk about it's an exciting time. We're finally kicking off the IndyCar season. We're finally kicking off the Indy next season. Both of the series are going to be racing at St. Pete. St. Pete has a lot of history. It's also got a lot of drama, and there's been a lot of drama in the last year coming out of St. Pete, but I think a lot of people are excited about it. I think the drivers are anxious to get into the car. And it's honestly the first moment you showcase, you play your cards. Are you going to be good or you're not going to be good?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of hype, the content day, all that stuff that came out and the promotion of it. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of buildup to the beginning of the season.
I know. I am looking forward to see, we heard that there is going to be possibly a whole new graphic treatment, how we are actually going to view it. I'm looking forward to seeing what Fox is going to do to make it even cooler. This is actually going to be the first full season where we're going to have the hybrid. We didn't have the hybrid last year at this race because the hybrid was paused until after the 500. So we'll see what the hybrid can do now on a street race. But for those of you who want to learn a little bit more about St. Pete and the race, so like we mentioned before, both IndyCar and the Junior League Indy NXT are going to be racing on this street course. Milena, how many laps is it?
It is, hang on a second, let me pull it up really quickly. It's 100 laps, 14 turns, length 108 miles. Okay, and like we said, it's a street course. So we know in Indy we've got 3 different types of courses that are road, oval, and a street.
Yeah. And with street courses, there's no room for error.
No.
If you screw up, you know what's going to be next? It's either going to be a tire barrier or a concrete wall.
Yep.
So even the smallest bump, even the smallest little turn, it's going to cause chaos.
Yep.
So
this, St. Pete's, it's been part of the Indy circuit, since 2005? Is that how I have it right?
Yep.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
About 20 years.
I really do like when we go back to racetracks that give us the opportunity to have a little bit more of a traditional feel to it. Like having St. Pete on the calendar year after year. You think about all of the amazing winners that have won in, the last 20 plus years, some that we talk about very frequently. You have Joseph Newgarden, who's a multiple race winner. We have Colton Herta, who's won there, Scotty Mack, Marcus Ericsson, Pato, even Will Power. Will Power won in 2014 and 2010. And then you have some names that we know and love really well. We have our fellow podcaster, James Hinchcliffe as well, who's also a winner. And Elio's won there 3 times.
Wow.
So, once you win once, I feel like you know how to win again on this track. So we're definitely going to see, are we going to have some more repeat winners? Are we going to have a newbie possibly win the race? We don't know. That's the great part about going to a race, the first race of the season.
I wonder what the different, is there different prep for them versus a street, road, and an oval?
I'm assuming there has to be different G-forces in the car, right? So, and I don't know what the temperature and the weather is going to be like since we're a little too far out for the race weekend, but if it's really hot, you're going to be, some drivers will choose to wear a cool suit. You have the aero screen, so if it's hot, it's hot.
Yeah.
Well, so I think that adds a whole new piece to it, especially where there's no room for error. And we've seen it happen multiple times where you literally are trying to pass someone. If you don't cleanly pass them and they clip you, you're out. You can't even recover from a crash into a concrete wall.
Nope.
We've seen cars completely just whole wing just ripped off because they hit a pothole or a grate, right? So, yeah, we'll see definitely what's going to happen. Last year was a crazy year for St. Pete, I think. Oh yeah,
I know you want us to talk about this.
I want to talk about it.
It's pretty juicy.
Sometimes when you look at all the things that Drive to Survive has done, from impacting drama into the series, and you watch F1 and you're like, holy crap, there's so much insider baseball and drama. And then you watch IndyCar and you're like, hello? Is there anything going on? Ma'am? And last year, I feel like they fed us. They fed us with so much drama. And right out the gate, we have St. Pete, Joseph Newgarden, Scotty Mack, Will Power, Team Penske, and we have the push to pass scandal. I call it P2P Gate. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who don't know about P2P Gate, basically, Joseph Newgarden won the race. He was quote first, unquote. Quote unquote, and Pato O'Ward was second. I'm totally blanking on who was third. I apologize, whoever was third at St. Pete last year. And we went on. We went on to the next race. All of a sudden, we get to, I believe, Long Beach, and breaking news has passed that Joseph Newgarden, Will Power, and Scotty Mack have been either disqualified or penalized for the race at St. Pete.
FYI, it was Colton that was third.
Oh, poor Colton.
And then Alex Pillow that was fourth.
So it was Pat. So the new winners would have been Pato, Colton, Pillow.
Pato Power.
Oh, Power.
And then Colton.
So 2 out of the 3 people on the podium got penalized or disqualified for the race. And I'm not even putting it lightly. It took the IndyCar paddock by storm. We normally don't have disqualifications of this magnitude, especially by a team that is so prestigious and winning.
Mm-hmm. They have the most wins at this track.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But then you also put on your tiny, tiny tinfoil hat and you go, well, Roger Penske owns the series. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the conspiracy theorists really, really came out for this one. And so what happened was that IndyCar did a test on Team Penske cars, and they discovered that they had an illegal software in the system that allowed the drivers to activate push to pass during starts and restarts of the race. So for those of you who don't know what push to pass is basically a software system that allocates drivers a certain amount of seconds to get more horsepower, so just more juice. So when they want to pass a driver, they may use push to pass to get some extra horsepower to be able to do so. You're not allowed to use push to pass on restarts or starts of the race because at the end of the day, it's
an advantage, obviously.
Yeah,
like a
100%.
huge advantage.
And so what happened was they realized that Joseph Newgarden, who in essence was the one who overused it, used the most amount of seconds during a potential restart during the St. Pete race, which inevitably gave him an advantage. And he didn't win by a mile at the end of the day, but he did win with enough seconds where Pato O'Ward wouldn't have been able to overtake him naturally on the track. And so he used it, I think twice. I could be wrong, but he definitely used it once. And then Scotty Mack used it once for about, I think it was less than 2 seconds. So in essence, I think he pressed the button and he felt the car go vroom and faster and went, oops, that's not supposed to happen, and let go. Mm-hmm. Will Power didn't use it at all.
Which is why he's still listed as one at like the second.
He was not disqualified. He received, I believe, a points deduction or a position deduction, which inevitably, if you think about the championship for last year, makes you wonder if he wasn't removed by the points, I forgot the allotment of points that he had, would he have had a better chance of beating Alex Pillow in the championship? Mm-hmm. Maybe. But it was chaos. People were like, Team Penske, there's a conflict of interest, Penske Entertainment versus Roger Penske and the team, and Joseph Newgarden should have known better. At the end of the day, Joseph knew. Mm-hmm. And
his interviews, though, he was just like, oh, I don't know. Well, yeah, it was pretty annoying.
The explanation that they gave was that they were unaware that they were using the illegal software. Someone knew.
Well, they have to, so who activates it? It's the drivers, no?
So I'm assuming it's somebody on the stand has to prep the car, mm-hmm. and then the driver pushes the button and the software goes, okay.
So you have to physically do something as a driver.
Yeah.
And
we've heard other podcasters who are drivers speak to this that have been in IndyCar. F1 drivers do it as well. Sometimes you just press a button because you want to press the button.
Yeah.
And sometimes something will happen and it's racing. If you want to have an advantage and not get caught, more power to you.
Yeah.
But they got caught.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really, I think for a lot of IndyCar fans, it soured this season beginning. I myself was a little like, okay, it happened. But it took IndyCar like weeks to figure it out. Yes, some folks were put on administrative leave from Penske. But the comments that we were getting from Joseph were we were unaware that we were not allowed to use it. We thought we were allowed to use it.
So, like, I mean, how does something like that happen? Are they like, do these rules change so often? Are they briefed? Like, how can they claim that they were not told or they didn't realize that they were not allowed to use it?
That's the biggest question of the day, right? And I think if Joseph would have just stood up and said, I pushed a button every time I do a start on a race and a restart. It's just habit and I got an advantage. I didn't want to question it. I got an advantage. I moved on. I raced the car and I raced well. At the end of the day, Joseph raced phenomenally during the entire race. Yes, he got a little bit of an advantage, but he did race really well.
Mm-hmm.
Scott knew something was wrong, didn't say anything. Will didn't use it at all. And I think Will was one of the first people to openly put out a statement to be like, at the end of the day, it's a team sport. We're a team. And the team, we have failed each other, basically. And Scotty Mack said something too. And then Joseph Newgarden had this presser. He had a full-blown press conference.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, I don't think he needed to do that.
Mm-mm.
I think it continued to paint him in a negative way.
That he can't, like, almost like that he had to defend himself, or, I mean, it kind of made him look a little guilty.
Yeah. And I think if he would have just stepped out and said, yeah, I pushed it. Yeah, I wasn't aware. Maybe he wasn't. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt here. Maybe he wasn't. And just say, I'm going to take the disqualification on the chin and I'm going to come back even harder. And at the end of the day, he had a really rough season outside of the 500. Mm. And he raced well in some races, but after St. Pete, people were kind of disappointed in him. And I think that's worse than painting him as the villain or painting him as like the cheater or whatever. I think people were just disappointed in Penske because Penske is they locked out the front. It was when we were at Road America, it was Penske 1, 2, 3. Mm-hmm. They're good. Mm-hmm. Do not get me wrong. They are incredible drivers, but that just, it soured a little bit. Granted, the media was eating this shit up. They were like, give us more. It's the first week, first race of the season. Give us more drama. Mm-hmm. Still, it's going to be, I'm really disappointed that 100 Days of Indy is not coming back because putting my little tinfoil hat on again, the first season was very centered around Joseph. Mm-hmm. And then he won the 500 that year. And then he, the second season was maybe not as heavily centered around Joseph, but it makes you wonder, are they not coming back because the drivers who were represented on the show didn't want to do it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I could be wrong here, but I do believe that CW is a Fox-owned channel.
Yeah.
So it's not like they could have kept it on the CW. Mm-hmm. And money clearly is not a problem.
Right.
So why are we not doing it, especially with the success of Drive to Survive?
Yeah, if you want more, I mean, that's the whole idea of doing, like, the 100 Days of Indy and having all this content and Fox taking over all of the advertisement stuff. Like, don't you want that? Don't you want more exposure and more, the drama on camera?
Not to say that Drive to Survive brought a lot of fans that were not F1 fans. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because they attached themselves to either the villain of the story or the sacrificial lamb of the story, or Daniel Ricciardo, because Daniel Ricciardo, everyone falls in love with Daniel Ricciardo, right? Of course,
yeah.
And I think they wanted to do that with 100 Days of Indy. And to be frank, they should have done the whole season. They should have done 100 Days to Indy and then 100 Days after Indy. Mm-hmm. Because
there's more to the season, not just Indy.
Last year, after that, we got Will Power flipping off Scott Dixon. Mm-hmm. After they crashed, we had Santino Ferrucci go after Kyle Kirkwood in Detroit. We had, even after the season ended, we had so much drama. We had the FBI raid at RLL.
Yes.
We had the McLaren drama with who's going to be in the number 6 since Malukas is injured. Like, we had so many good storylines, and I feel like we could have really, I knew they would have focused a lot on P2P Gate in the beginning, but there were so much other things that happened. And I'm like, I wanted to see the behind. They had to have filmed some of this stuff, so why aren't they producing it? Like, did they not film it?
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe there's somebody at Fox or somebody that I don't know. They want to paint it in a better light. They don't want it to be like the F1 drama. But like, that's what gets views.
Yeah. It's what I call reality television, but without being scripted. It's true reality television. Like,
there's more drama. Well, we'll talk about the drama of whatever is going to happen.
Yeah. Makes you wonder.
Yep.
Because what they had for this season or last season of 100 Days is just they did like a very high level overview of it. And like, I wonder if they didn't want to go into another season with drama. I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows? No.
We're just spectators.
Yeah. We know nothing.
We know nothing.
We just like cars. We just like watching
we
cars
like
go
going
vroom.
Exactly. We just like
Oh my goodness. Well, let's think about this, right? So St. Pete, who do we think is going to get pole? Who do you think is going to win? Or even just top podium predictions and maybe some unhinged moments?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, like we said before, Penske has historically done well in this place, right? So who knows if Joseph Newgarden keeps his shit contained. I mean, he is a good racer, you know, and he's got the history behind him.
Fun fact, did you know that he is now competing in, I think it's called High Rocks. It's like a form of CrossFit. Get out. So like he was talking about it on Off Track with Hinch and Rossi that it's basically like cardio. So you run a mile and then you do some sort of like activity afterwards, maybe like 100, lunges or whatever, or burpees. And then you run another mile and then you do another segment.
That sounds like Navy SEAL shit.
Oh, 100%. And he's like, this is the perfect way to get ready for an IndyCar race.
Yeah.
Because you need to have that like cardio endurance thing. So the fact that he's continuing doing that, he's going to be even more fit than he was.
So this is new. This is something new that he's doing. I mean,
who knows? But I do find it interesting, and I would love to know more about this, is like, how many of these drivers actually have like sports psychologists and talk about the mental implications of, racing? Mm-hmm. Because I could only imagine what the highs and lows Joseph and his family had to go through, right? Like, you go through P2P Gate, you have a slump in the season, you're not really doing much, you're crashing out, your teammates are doing better than you.
It's like the Danny Rick syndrome.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you win the 500, you're at the top of the mountain again. And then you're like, oh, okay, can't win the championship. There's no way. I could only imagine what he had to go through and the amount of hate he probably got, which
100%.
While I love drama. I love watching drama unfold. It feeds me.
Makes it more fun.
Yeah. I don't think DMing Joseph Newgarden and sending hate was the right solution either.
No one. I mean, there's really no villains like in this race or in this series. Like, no one deserves that.
No. And so I think I could see Joseph doing well. I think for me, I think Scotty Mack will do well. Mm-hmm. I think he'll be on the podium. I don't know. I really do think that Scott Dixon's going to come out and just be like, I had a really, really hard time with the hybrid in the second half of the year. I'm going to win this thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm rooting for Dixie to win that 7th championship soon, because I think he wants to be in the 7-timers club. So I think he's going to come in with the full entire, like, clock's ticking. I need to do this now. Yep. I think Paddle will do well, of course. I think my sleeper, I think Prema's going to show up and be in the top. One of the cars is going to be in the top 10.
I was going to say, I'm like, I know, they, based on what I see on Instagram and stuff like that, like, I mean, people are anticipating big things from them. So this is really going to show like what they have in store for the rest of the season.
Yeah. I don't think that Robert's going to show up and...
You mean Bobby?
Schwartzy. Oh no, we can't talk about Schwartzy because that's too much of a hated name in the reality world. But Bobby, I think he'll do okay. I don't think he will go all gas, no brakes. I think he's going to be conservative just to get used to it.
As a rookie, you have to be. You can't put everything out there and like then, the crashes and then those memes and then those, situations. So yeah, he really should be more reserved in this race.
So don't get mad. But do you think that if Prema is going to start making strategy calls that are wrong, they're going to bring back the Ferrari clown meme for IndyCar?
Oh no. I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah. Do better. Bobby, Callum.
Remember Lavazza coffee, please.
Yes, remember the coffee. But I do think Prema's going to show up and do well. I think Ed Carpenter's going to show up and do well.
So this is going to be like more of a big name race, right?
I think so. I think
the experience is going to be key.
Yeah. I think we're going to have a big moment. I think we're going to have... I'm giving myself 2 yellows for sure. I think we're going to get a yellow at the start. Mm-hmm. I think it's just that first day of school jitters.
Brushing off the dust, should say.
And I think we're going to have one other yellow, which is going to change up the strategy. But I don't know. Last year's race was kind of uneventful outside of P2P Gate. So I'm hoping that this one gives us good racing. But for the rookies, like even for Bobby, those tracks, they're not resurfaced, right? I think it's part asphalt, part
concrete.
Mm-hmm. There's bumps. Mm-hmm. This isn't like an F1 race where...
It's a street, right?
Yeah, they're not resurfacing the street like they do in F1 races where it's like butter. Because, F1 hits a bump and there's a race. These cars are going through potholes like they're going through potholes on the highway here in Chicago.
Right.
We're very fortunate that St. Pete doesn't get a lot of weather. And it's smoother than most tracks, but imagine hitting a pothole going 100 plus, 150 miles an hour.
Dude, imagine at 30 miles an hour here in Chicago. Jesus.
Makes you wonder that if only they had radio in the cockpit, like, do you think if once they hit a giant pothole, they have to turn the radio off because you have to think about what happened after you go over a pothole?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think the drivers would do that?
I mean, I do that at 30 miles an hour. I can't imagine what they would say.
Do that, right?
So, yeah.
You hit a pothole and you're like, oh my God, is my car okay? And you automatically turn the radio off.
Yep. And you try and concentrate and just like, yeah. No sound makes me concentrate more. Because
that's going to prevent the car from breaking from that giant pothole.
Yeah.
How do we put radios in the... No, I'm kidding. So I think the drivers that we always see on the podium will be on the podium. I think Prema will have a good job. I think Coin will struggle a little bit just because I think they need some work from an engineering perspective. Foyt's coming really hard with like, they did so well last year. It's either a make or break season for them. You have Santino, who has been with them for a while and is wicked fast. And then you have someone like David Malukas, who is new to the program. So I don't see them possibly breaking the top 10, maybe in like the 11th through 15th spot. I don't know. If Colton comes out and wins this race, and that's the start to the F1 storyline that we're going to talk about for the rest of the season.
Yep. All right. So St. Petersburg, Sunshine City. Apparently it has 768 days of consecutive sunshine, according to the Guinness Book of World Records. Interesting.
So It's not going to be a wet race.
No, let's hope not.
God, what if it rains?
Oh my God, that would be
it
terrible.
Breaks the Guinness World Record and it's a wet race.
I just want to, hold that sunshine right now because of the rain. It's snowing right now in Chicago. So,
well, Sunshine State. Let's go through the race schedule so everyone knows where to watch, how to watch, and the times for us.
All right. So some broadcast info here. So for practice, starts Friday, February 28th, 2 p.m. to 3:30 Central Time on FS1. Okay. And then you get practice 2, which is Saturday, March 1st, 9 a.m. to 10:30 on FS2. Do you want to talk about qualies?
Yeah. So qualifications are technically 3 specific rounds. So round 1 is going to be on March 1st, starting at 1:30. So basically what they do in round 1 is they split the field up into 2 groups and they compete for the quickest time. The top 6 drivers from each of those groups then go over to round 2 of qualifications, or which is going to be on FS1 as well. And those start off at around 2:20-ish, depending on if there's any red flags or yellow flags in the first session. So the Fast 12 start in round 2. And basically what they do is they take the top 6 drivers from there and they go to the Firestone Fast 6, which is slotted to start around 2:45-ish Central Standard Time. And those Fast 6 drivers, those are the ones that are going to be competing for pole. And the number 1 driver with the fastest time then gets the NTT pole position. And they'll be able to put the pole position sticker on their car for the race. And then we're going to kick off into March 2nd, which is Sunday at 8 a.m. Central Time on FS2. They're going to do a quick little warm-up just to make sure the cars are good to go before race day. And the race is going to be on Fox, which is going to be super exciting. It's on main channel. It's going to kick off at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'm really excited to see what kind of pre-show things they're going to do compared to last year with NBC. I did hear there's going to be a little bit more with what they do with the pre-show. And we'll finally get to see James Townsend and Will do it.
Yeah.
And see how well they do it, how well they vibe. I know they were in LA this weekend. They were doing tests to see how they worked together, which
I'm sure they'll be fine. They've worked together in the past, right?
Yeah, I think so. The only thing we don't know as of the recording is who's going to be in pit lane and doing the pit lane recording. So we'll see maybe who's going to be actually interviewing drivers on the pits or talking about what's happening during pit stops. So we're still waiting on those to be announced. So hopefully we'll know more before race start, but at least we know who's in the booth.
Yes, definitely. And if you guys don't have the app for IndyCar, I highly recommend it. It's a fantastic app. It gives you a ton of information, broadcast information according to wherever you are in the world. So yeah, highly recommend you guys get that.
Yeah, and you can even, during the race, you could listen to driver radios. So if you have a particular driver that you want to follow, what I like to do is I like to have that radio on so I can hear what's going on in the cockpit with that driver. So you can hear when they're slotted to pit. They ask questions with the driver, and sometimes you get some spicy comments, which is what we live for. So definitely recommend downloading the app, and you can even follow along on the IndyCar radio, which is also in the app as well, if you are unable to watch the race live on television. But super excited. If you are going to St. Pete, follow us on our socials at Lap It Like It's Hot. Tell us what you're excited about. I think it's going to be a packed house at St. Pete. I've heard that, last year was a packed house. So I'm hoping that more stands are filled with this new season and more people get interested in the sport. And I'm really excited for the season to be kicking off. Now I actually have something to do on Sundays.
Yeah, right. Football is over. Now we still have this little,
it's a little vacation before Sundays are going to be taken over on sitting on the couch watching race cars go vroom. But
don't talk to me. It's race day.
Yeah, right? Sundays are only for race day.
All right. And go ahead and make sure you guys follow us on anywhere you guys listen to podcasts.
We're going to be on YouTube as well.
Perfect.
If you want to find an easy way, if you go to our Lap It Like It's Hot Instagram, we do have a link in bio where you can actually click and go directly to the podcast. If you've listened and you want to keep listening, do the good things. Give us a 5-star rating, leave a comment or a review, and we're just going to keep getting better at this. We're newbies at this. So any feedback, comments?
Love to hear it.
We love it. All right. With that,
See you guys. Bye.